Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over how to win games in Fortnite Season 9. Update 9.0, which was released at the beginning of the season, contained a lot of really important gameplay changes. Most people are solely focused on the pump shotgun being removed, and that definitely is a huge change, don't get me wrong, but that isn't the only thing worth mentioning. And when you combine all those changes, it results in Fortnite being played very differently now than it was even just a week or two ago. For you to be successful and win games in Season 9, you're going to need to change the way you play the game. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So if I were to describe the quote-unquote meta of Season 9 in a few words, I would say slightly less annoying spray and pray meta. Due to the fact that pump shotguns were removed, there's no longer a truly dominant shotgun in all of Fortnite. That means that players are relying more and more on SMGs and 50-50 spray fights than ever before. I mean, even the two shotguns we have, the Combat and the TAC, both are sort of spray shotguns with their relatively fast fire rates and relatively low base damage, at least compared to the old pump shotguns. So my first tip, and it probably isn't a surprise to anybody if you've played the last few days, is that no matter what shotgun you choose to use, you need to dedicate one of your inventory slots to a drum gun. The drum gun is basically the new pump shotgun at this point in Fortnite. It's hands down the best weapon in the game, and if you don't have one, you're going to be at a major disadvantage in really any close range fight. Some people will choose not to carry a shotgun altogether, and even though I'm not on that train yet, especially if the heavy shotgun returns to the game, I'll admit that the burst damage the drum gun offers is probably only slightly worse than the shotguns in the game. Another big tip that's helped me deal with this meta in Season 9 is to try to start fights at medium/long range, and then if you gain an advantage, that's when you turn it into a close range fight. Without the pump, it's really hard to get knocks and elimination in close range fights without taking at least a little bit of damage. I mean, think about it like this. With any pump over blue rarity, you are able to one-shot headshot a 200 health player. Now, if you have a gold combat, the highest damage you can do in a single shot is only 138. And with a blue tac, that number is only slightly higher at 158. Close range fights now take a lot longer to finish on average, and most of the time they end up in a super awkward battle of two players staring right in front of each other, just holding down right trigger with a drum gun and hoping they get better accuracy. Especially in situations where you're outnumbered, there really isn't much you can do against multiple players just spraying down your buildings with SMGs. So if you start the fight at a distance where the SMGs are totally useless, you're going to have a better chance to control that engagement. You want to try really hard to focus in on a single enemy and get a quick pick, but any amount of chip damage definitely helps with the rest of the fight. And then obviously, once you get that initial knock, or you feel that you've weakened an enemy enough, that's your opportunity to play aggressive and turn it into a close range fight that you can quickly finish. Moving on, let's talk about the new changes to the map and how they impact Fortnite as a whole. So with the new season, we got one brand new town and two remodeled towns. Well, I guess they're technically new as well, but not really. Pressure Plant is a decent little town that replaced the Season 8 volcano, but it's nothing really special and it's towards the outskirts of the map, so I don't really think it's going to impact much of anything. However, the two remodeled/new towns are Neo Tilted, which is obviously the new Tilted Towers, and Mega Mall, which is the new Retail Row. So here's my general thoughts on these two locations. I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably wondering if Neo Tilted is a viable landing spot for getting wins. In my opinion, it's actually a bit of a letdown compared to the original Tilted Towers. Despite gaining more buildings and those buildings in general being larger and a bit more confusing to navigate, Neo Tilted actually lost chest spawns compared to the original Tilted Towers. OG Tilted had a total of 39 chest spawns, while Neo Tilted only has a total of 35. Along with a decrease in chest spawns, we also lost a vending machine going from a total of 2 to 1. And even though I can't provide proof of this, it just feels that in general, there's also less weapon spawns per square foot or square meter than there was in old Tilted. However, those three things aren't even the biggest issue I have with Neo Tilted. The biggest problem in my opinion is the lack of materials available in the town. The amount of wood available in Old Tilted really varied on the week or month that you were playing the game. That may not sound like it makes a ton of sense, but the building that used to be next to Big Bertha would constantly get destroyed and remodeled. And whenever it was being changed, Fortnite would throw a ton of wood pallets smack dab in the middle of the building. So during those remodeling periods that usually lasted at least a few weeks each, I felt that I would almost always be able to get 500 or 600 wood in the first couple minutes of the match. And even when there weren't wood pallets in that middle building, Big Bertha had enough for you to at least get a respectable amount of wood, usually around 200. With Neo Tilted though, materials are simply incredibly hard to come by. Your only options are really some small trees scattered throughout the town, a couple metal cars, and the walls and floors from the actual buildings themselves. So while Neo Tilted is still my go-to town for high kill games, if your main goal is to get wins in Season 9, I would advise you to stay away. I think Mega Mall is actually very similar to Retail Row. It's a really nice landing spot with a lot of loot, and I expect it to be one of the 2 or 3 most populated towns in all of Fortnite for Season 9. So here's why that information is really important when it comes to getting wins. In Season 8, almost the entirety of the upper right hand corner of the map got remodeled at the beginning of the season, while the rest of the world more or less stayed exactly the same. Because of all the new towns and the mobility that the upper right hand corner of the map offered with volcanic vents and the volcano itself, you saw a lot more people landing in the upper right hand corner of the map and rotating to the upper right hand corner of the map early in games. So if you ever found yourself in that area, you needed to be really careful when it came to pushing and taking fights, because there was a really solid chance you'd end up getting third party. However, with those points of interest being old now and a lot of that mobility being gone, that won't really be the case anymore. Since the major changes to the map pretty much all took place smack dab in the middle, you can expect that part of the map to be more populated than ever before. I'll throw an image on the screen right now of what I expect to be the hot zone for Season 9. You see, it's that 5-town radius that covers Tilted, Loot Lake, Dusty Divot, Salty Springs, and Mega Mall. Of course, this has always been a hot zone, but it really does seem crazier than ever now. I've even seen some games where 60 or 70 people will die in the first couple minutes, just because so much of the lobby is landing and rotating in that 5-town circled area of death. Plus, if it wasn't bad enough already, Epic also added the new slipstreams almost exclusively to the middle of the map. And that's a nice little segue because those are absolute game changers. They basically allow you to quick travel throughout the entire middle of the map, and you're pretty much totally safe while doing so. The way you want to use slipstreams if you're trying to get a win is very different than how most players actually use them. Since most people play Fortnite for kills more than anything else, they ride around in the slipstreams until they spot an enemy, and then they glide onto them to begin a fight. But the biggest value that slipstreams have if your goal is to win is as a safe way to rotate and a way to safely disengage from almost any fight or general bad situation. It isn't impossible to hit a player traveling in a slipstream, but it's definitely really difficult. You want to take advantage of this as much as possible because, as we already stated, the middle of the map where the slipstreams are located is a third-party hot zone. So with any fight you get into, you have maybe 30 seconds to end it before people inevitably hear the commotion and start pushing you. These slipstreams are easy to locate and are pretty much the Fortnite equivalent to a get out of jail free card whenever you need it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. This video is about how to win games in Fortnite Season 9, so I want to know, how many wins do you have so far in the new season? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.